So I've been called many things over the course of my YouTube misadventures. Of course there's my more defining characteristics, a la monotone or depressed, but every once in a while I get one of those beautiful comments that just really makes me feel warm inside. I think out of every title I've been given, the most admirable one in my eyes is definitely that War Crimes guy. I don't necessarily know if it's a title that I deserve, but it seems to be the title that I've earned. So you can kind of imagine my utter shock, horror, and disbelief when I was scrolling through Twitter one day and saw an article by the oh-so-beloved PC Gamer, "Please stop doing war crimes in multiplayer games, it's upsetting the Red Cross." I decided to give it a read, and after some careful examination of the article, its subject matter, its dangerous real-world implications, and some serious self-reflection, I've come to a realization about my choices up to this point. I haven't really been encouraging war crimes enough, so here's how you can piss off the Red Cross even more. Now, I do have to say that I'm not going to be using any footage by or even relating to them because that's a losing battle. The Red Cross is such a prevalent and respected symbol that even niche indie games like Among Us had to eventually bow down to their superfluous will when they came knocking at their door. But don't you worry your pretty little face, I have you covered. Bingo. So anyways, the ICRC had a neat little website here called playbytherules.icrc.org. Its objective was really quite simple. It laid out some guidelines to attempt and play games appropriately, and they hired a bunch of streamers I've never heard of to do just that. They outlined 4 rules in particular. Rule number 2 and rule number 3 are simple enough. No targeting non-violent NPCs, and no targeting civilian buildings. However, number 1 and number 4 are just so bizarre that I honestly have to question some qualifications here. Rule number 1 is no thirsting. When an enemy is down and can't respond, you can't keep shooting at them. This one is honestly debatable to start with, but the rule of war cited is that prisoners of war must be protected from violence, intimidation, and ill treatment, which is objectively correct, but not really relevant. If you're an active combatant, you're probably not a prisoner of war, and honestly telling gamers and Twitch viewers to stop thirsting is simply an impossible battle, and I doubt any organization could stop that cancerous hive mind. However, in tandem with rule number 4, use medkits on everyone, I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind. If you have an unused medkit that works on others, you must give it to those who need it. The problem is, again, the rule cited is true, the sick and wounded must be cared for on both sides, but that's not really up to the soldiers. Like, let me just paint out a totally unrealistic scenario that the Red Cross is just thriving for here. You're a soldier. You're pinned down, but you have allied reinforcements on the way. All you need to do is hold out and survive. You take a few pot shots where you can, and although your covering fire seems to be inconsequential at best, you actually manage to hit an incoming enemy and consequently incapacitate them, preventing their advance. From what I'm reading here, the Red Cross wants you to then get up, run across the fucking battlefield, hope and pray you don't get fired at, pick up the fucking dude you just shot, attempt to perform surgery on the wound, and then run back to your initial position once the enemy seems to be fine. This isn't fucking kickball, we're in a goddamn war here, soldier! Sit your ass back down and keep firing and go loot Tomato Town, I guess. Is Tomato Town even in Fortnite still? I can't say I'm up to date on the lore, although that is actually an incredible video idea. Let me know if that's wanted. It's a video concept that's been on my backlogs forever, but I just haven't had time to really properly research it. I digress though. My objective today isn't to correct the Red Cross, despite the fact that's an absolute power play. I want to do the opposite. I want to defy them, and I want to empower others to join me in my desperate struggle. And frankly, the longer they stay in the dark, the better. So, new rule number 1. Target everyone and everything. Of course you should indiscriminately target enemies, but also make sure to target civilians. Target medical personnel. Hell, target your own allies, really anything and everything goes here. As a very wise man once told me, it's not paranoia if everyone truly is out to get you, and the best part about being enemies with everyone around you is that you can fire in any direction and still hit a target. Truly a win-win. But please don't get me wrong, don't just stop at living beings. Make sure to tear down everything you can, whether it be vehicles, land, buildings, resources. If you see something that benefits society in one way or another, it's something that can and should be desecrated. Hell, if it's something that's debatably a blight on society, you should stay on the safe side and destroy it regardless. Bonus points will be awarded if you can assure that the destruction caused is so devastating that it's impossible to rebuild or maybe even impossible to inhabit the area around it. The world really could do with more Chernobyls, and if recent German politics have taught me anything, you can set the entire planet back substantially if you manage to make nuclear power look scary and unwieldy, instead of being a really convoluted way of boiling water. But of course to do this, you're going to need a loadout, which is a good transition into rule number 2, loadout. Really, this should have been number 1, but I already mentioned the ICRC rules, so I thought I'd lead off with it. Firstly, if your game allows you to customize your character's cosmetics, if possible, try to dress yourself up as medical personnel. If that isn't available, attempt to imitate the enemy, and if all else fails, look as civilian as possible. I kind of have to embrace my inner closeted zoomer here and concede that Peter Griffin Family Guy is a valuable role model in this case.
You're all stupid. See, they're gonna be looking for army guys.
Secondly, if your game allows you to customize your character's weapons, the easiest rule of thumb I can give is to give your characters elemental weapons. What I mean by that is that guns aren't illegal. Guns don't kill people, nuh-uh, I kill people with guns. But guns that fire poisonous rounds, guns that corrode your skin, or guns that set your enemies on fucking fire? Those are pretty sick, and are definitely preferable here. Also, prioritize weapons that lacerate or cause unnecessary pain and suffering. The existence of unnecessary suffering implies the fact that there is a necessary amount of suffering, so make sure to avoid that. A quick bullet to the head is nowhere near as painful as choking to death on your own blood or asphyxiating from poisonous gases that prevents you from breathing and burns your entire body. Another good thing to look out for are weapons that are unpredictable and uncontrollable. Something that can potentially spark a chain reaction of destruction, or is just as likely to do damage to the enemies as it is to civilians or your allies. Or what used to be your allies. Again, always remember, it isn't paranoia if everyone truly is out to get you. You are alone here. Godspeed. There's a few more weapons I'm going to mention later, but hopefully this gives you an idea on where to start. Rule number 3, lie. A lot. If anyone asks you who you are, forge a fake identity. Preferably one that isn't involved in the conflict. If a civilian approaches you with their wounded child in their arms, hyperventilating and visibly shaking from just sheer adrenaline and panic, desperately asking you where the nearest hospital is, make sure to affirm them. Tell them that everything is going to be okay, and then give them a route straight through the nearest minefield. If they dare question the legitimacy of that route, helpfully gaslight them into believing that mines were never even used in this conflict, and make sure to stick around until you hear the ear-piercing screams of pain and misery to ensure that you've done a good job. If given the opportunity, feel free to rinse and repeat. Rule number 4, make sure to look out for yourself. As I've already said, war is serious business, and quite frankly, you don't have to justify your peace and/or happiness no matter how arbitrary. Everyone is human, and even the most heroic people in all of history need their rest. Likewise, it's okay to ask for help. It's even okay to give people no choice in helping you. Those hostages or prisoners you're keeping for negotiation purposes? What are they doing? Just sitting in a cell waiting for updates on the war or their family? Get them to work. Do the dishes, sweep the floors, absorb incoming enemy fire. Or other miscellaneous things I cannot say in a YouTube video without getting demonetized even further than I already am. But the world is a cruel and harsh place, so kick your feet up, get some rest in, and to make sure to keep your mental health in check. The world's a significantly better place with you in it. I've already said that everyone is your enemy, but I'm not your enemy. I'm the only person you can trust in this barren hellscape. You can trust me, 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 you can trust me. And finally, rule number 5, the most important thing to remember at the end of the day, have fun. Now you have the knowledge and the wisdom to defeat any fool who dares stand up to you, and knowing is at least 1/3 of the battle. Good luck and have fun, soldier. Godspeed. Also, as always, a big thank you to those who haven't betrayed me just yet, those being Safiarter201, Cork Attack, HKS Hornet, Marks, Samuel Hiller, Frank, Hannah K, Doke Dog, Mitchell M, Inon1, Al Diaz, Wumpus, Zach M, Scramio, Teachy Boy, Darling Mim, Just a Plaid Shirt, Dan, Black Jade, Jacob S, Michael P, Breadman, Catapult Man 1, Chair, Judge and Jury, Lobkitten, Scorner Crystalline, Teddy Bear Guy, Cray, Minister of Sauces, Mr. Bones, Frequent, Pyromusical, No Goat, Vegeta, and Blazeheart. As always, if you want to fund my war campaign and hear me say your name in a monotone voice, and other miscellaneous benefits like beautiful MS Paint commissions and exclusive bug videos, feel free to click the links below, or press that handy join button under the title. Anyways, I hope you have a good rest of your week, and as always, remember that it isn't a war crime if it's funny. Cheers.